feeling like we need something outside of us to feel complete, this is where the law of attraction turns. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Kaylin Bowman. Be fiercely authentic, live your truth. So today I wanted to make this video specifically as a means to sort of segue into where I want the channel to be, essentially. So let's put it this way. We are all human beings. We all grow, we all evolve. Whether we put the spiritual label on it or not, we are here to learn lessons and to challenge ourselves and to progress. And with that comes the idea, or at least the understanding, that we are going to outgrow certain things, okay? So for those of you who have been very open about my spiritual awakening journey and the fact that I've been on this journey for quite some time, and I've specifically talked about raising my consciousness, which is the idea of enlightenment. Okay, so when we raise our consciousness, we're pretty much rising above thought to what is true. And what I have found so far is that the more I raise my consciousness and the more I have a wider perspective of life and why we're here, I started to see how there are some concepts that I have grown to believe are true that are actually, it can be detrimental to our own happiness and our own fulfillment. So I want to lay it out very clearly what it is that I believe. There are certain things that you can't negate. There are certain things that you can't prove wrong, like laws, right? So we have the law of gravity, which is law. It's true. It doesn't make much sense to question gravity. And then we have what I've been studying for a very long time, which is the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is very true. I'm here to say this. I want to make this very clear in this video today. The law of attraction is accurate. It is 100% true. If you think a thought, it will create a ripple effect into the universe. Our thoughts do create, and then what happens is we manifest them into physical form. So the law of attraction in itself is not a problem. It is absolutely 100% true. And if you're at a point in your life where you want to manifest certain things, for a long time I did talk about just, manifesting material things. This does not resonate with me anymore. It's not to say that you cannot manifest these things. So I'm here to tell you that I have manifested many things into my life simply through my thoughts, many things in the physical world, material possessions, money, people, all of that. But I want to say this, is that even though this law is true, this is not to be confused with happiness. And this is the big shift that I know some people are kind of making. I look at some of the law of attraction, community, some of the people in the law of attraction community, and some people are kind of making this shift. Not everyone, which is totally fine, doesn't matter. Here's the thing, we can create things. We can create anything. And that's the beauty of this world. But this three-dimensional world is actually an illusion. And so when we create things, typically through the mind, which is the ego, right? Our mind is always creating, but we have what are called ego thoughts that dominate most of who we are. And what ego thoughts are is the accumulation of who we believe ourselves to be based on, our childhood, our upbringing, society, all of that. We've accumulated this sort of idea, which is a completely false concept of who we are, because we are not our mind. And again, as we begin to raise our consciousness, we begin to realize that we are not the mind. We are pure consciousness, and pure consciousness is whole and it's complete. Ego is always lacking. Ego is needing to cling on to things. It needs something outside of itself to feel whole and to feel complete. So what happens is when people are in this state of consciousness and they pick up a law of attraction book or they watch a YouTube video on the law of attraction, it feeds that ego mind. And I was there. I get it. That was a lot of the reason why I got into this, is because I was stemming from that lack consciousness and thinking, oh wow, I can create all these things. Oh, okay, this is going to feed my ego. This is going to feed my identity. I can make myself better. I can, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to grow as an individual. But when we are coming from this place of feeling like there is something missing, or feeling like we need something outside of us to feel complete, this is where the law of attraction turns. And I do believe that a lot of people who stumble on these videos and this kind of thing are coming from that place. Not every single person, okay? Not every single person. But if you have not taken the time to raise your consciousness and see who you are beyond the physical world, beyond these physical things, then oftentimes what you do is you actually use the law of attraction as a substitute for happiness. And this in turn, because the 3D world is a world of duality, this actually leads to suffering, right? There are many spiritual teachers who say that, desire will lead to either anger or greed. So what they mean by this is if we have a desire for something, I'm not saying that having a desire is wrong in and of itself. I'm talking about where your state of consciousness is, and that I'm going to get into the whole reason for this and my new perspective on manifestation. I'm not saying that manifestation in itself is wrong, because it's not. So back to the concept of desire, anger, and greed. So desire usually stems from this feeling of not really wanting to be in the present moment. So we're always kind of projecting out into the future, right? Projecting, not wanting to be here, wanting to be there, which is the complete opposite of enlightenment, the complete opposite of being present. So what happens is, if we get our desire, we feel good, right? So it's like, okay, we've manifested. And like I said, we can manifest anything we want. So what happens is, once we go and we get that thing, if we get our desire, what happens is, because if we're coming from ego place, or we're coming from that place of lack, what happens is we get a desire, but then it fuels another desire. And what happens with the ego is, because it's never complete, it never ends. This desire for things absolutely never ends, and it's this constant needing to feed the self. And sometimes we get what we want, sometimes we don't. Really depends on our thinking and our ability to attract. So if we keep getting things, it actually feeds this greed. So when a desire is obtained, there's this greed, because it's like say for instance, I have 10,000, now I want 20, now I want 30, now I want 40, now I want a million, now I want 10 million, now I want 3 billion. And what happens with the ego, if we're in that state of consciousness, it's never enough. It's never enough. And when you're always feeling like it's never enough, you're always projecting out into the future, thinking that the future is going to bring you some sort of salvation or some sort of happiness. And as you'll notice, most people who have been in the law of attraction community for a long time, or who've been using these tools for a long time, they've actually had firsthand experience of what it feels like to attract things in, and then to be like, oh, this is it. This is not really what I wanted, or this is not really fulfilling, because getting things is not happiness. Getting things is not fulfillment. Getting things is not peace. And it doesn't matter what the desire outside of you is. That's not what peace is. As spiritual beings living in this physical body, we didn't come here to attain things. We came here to serve. We came here to be in our purpose, to be in our truth. And so going forward, I want to share with you guys tools on how to do that. And in the meantime, what happens, and this is something called conscious manifestation, which actually I'll get into in a minute, just because I want to go back to when we don't get our desires. So that leads to the anger component, right? So most people who are angry, if you notice, if you're angry at anything, it's because at some level you haven't got something that you wanted. There was a desire that was unfulfilled, right? Really think about it. Really think about the times that you've been angry, and think about there was something that you wanted fulfilled that you didn't have fulfilled. Okay, so desire is either going to lead to that greed or that anger. However, when we consciously manifest, because that's coming from the ego, when we consciously manifest, which is this term, and actually Eckhart Tolle is coming out with this whole concept of conscious manifestation, which I think is beautiful. But he's talking about the difference between manifesting from the ego mindset, that very limited consciousness, to manifesting when we are fully conscious, when we are aware that we are whole and that we are abundant and that we are actually overflowing. From that place, when we consciously manifest, we are going to attract in things that are going to fulfill us on the deepest level possible. So you know those times where you get those ego manifestations, you go, that didn't really fulfill me. You're not going to get that with that conscious manifestation, because you're in a different state. And oftentimes we can fool ourselves, because the ego will go, I'm conscious, but I want this. The mind, here's the thing, when we're connected to the soul, that desire for those specific things isn't there, because again, we're present and we're whole. So The universe, though, is expansive, and the universe wants to provide for us always. And we will always be taken care of if we just learn to surrender and step into our true nature. But as long as we stay in the ego mindset, and as long as we stay creating things out of this ego mentality, we're going to get these things. Yes, I'm here to tell you, yes, you can get those things, because law of attraction, it's a law and it's real. But is it going to fulfill you? Are you going to wake up and feel at peace? Are you going to wake up and feel that you are living your purpose? Are you going to wake up and feel truly fulfilled? Or are you going to wake up and feel like, what's the next thing that I need? Where's the next moment? Because I can't seem to find happiness here. So it's up to you what you want to choose. I'm not here to tell you what's right or what's wrong. I'm here to tell you what I've learned, and I want to share this with you guys because I think it is so powerful, and it's amazing to step into this place of feeling complete and whole and knowing who you are beyond the mind-made concept that most of us have lived with our entire life. Most of us, as we're just beginning the early stages of life, aren't fully conscious, especially when we are, raised by parents who are not fully conscious. It's just not possible. But returning back to that truth of who we are is possible. Feeling peace all of the time is possible. It truly is. Because the mind and the ego is a roller coaster. The soul is just pure. It's one. It's a singularity. There's no ups and downs because there's no judgment. There's no good. There's no bad. None of that exists on the soul level because the soul, there is no duality, whereas in the ego there is duality, which is why there's so much fear. So if you guys are interested in this, I encourage you to keep watching my channel. If this doesn't resonate with you, that is totally okay. And I do encourage you to unsubscribe if this is not the type of content that you want to watch going forward, because I do feel it's so important that we get the information that we need at the right moment in our evolution. So for those of you who are ready to, embark on this journey, let's do it. All right, thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm sending you guys absolute love and light, and I wish you all of the best on your journeys. Bye.